Picture this. Do you ever have 5-10 minutes spare and don't know what to do on your phone? Maybe you check the news. It's always so sad. Chatting with your family, they never answer in time. Netflix? The episodes are too long. You wish there was something like Netflix that could deliver a short story in those spare moments you find throughout the day. That's it, a shorter version of Netflix. I'm gonna be rich, thought Jeffrey Katzenberg, CEO of DreamWorks, who's already rich. And so the idea behind Quibi was born. The rumor was quickly spread, and in record time, over $2 billion were poured into the idea. But the company disappeared from everywhere just 6 months after premiering. So what exactly happened? This is the story of the fall of Quibi. The creating process behind New TV, quickly renamed to Quibi, short for Quick Bites, was incredibly fast. It was created in Los Angeles, California around August 2018, and just with its idea, it already managed to raise a small fortune from top investors, studios, and telecommunication companies such as Sony Pictures, Disney, Fox, NBC, and more. And you can't judge them. This was pitched as something that could compete against literally any form of media. In charge of the project was Meg Whitman, a 62-year-old businesswoman that had made an incredible career for herself. Meg worked at Disney for a bit, and in 1997 she received a call and was hired to work as CEO of a promising little upstart called eBay. After almost 11 years in the position, by late 2008, eBay had reported an incredible growth during her time, having grown from 30 to 15,000 employees, and going from a revenue of $4.7 million to over $8 billion a year. Having experience in both entertainment and management, she was the perfect choice. The first big public announcement about Quibi was made in 2019, when both founders told the world that their streaming service would launch on April 6th of the following year, with 2 paying tiers, $4.99 per month with short ads, or $7.99 per month if you wanted them removed entirely. They thought that by having the option for a lower price than the competitors with prices up to $10 for their lowest tiers, they would be cashing on a new group of consumers. At the same time, this low price could be small enough for some users to have both of them simultaneously. Quibi would be revolutionary. By being 10 minutes at max, the structure of the episodes needed to be different. And not just the story, but the camera work too. The episodes needed to be filmed and edited in a way that you could watch them with your phone in both vertical and horizontal orientations, without losing on any important aspects of the cinematography. One of the most acclaimed series was I Promise, starring the inspirational story of basketball star LeBron James, which the first episode is on YouTube. Due to the lack of content that could work in this format, some, if not the vast majority of shows, needed to be created from scratch or be adapted. Being that most investors were entertainment firms, the latter was more than reasonable. Reno 911, a classic satire cop genre, for example, was rebooted to air exclusively on the service. Quibi also faced some more fundamental issues. If you don't binge the content, it was just hard to get emotionally attached to what you were watching. With the short duration of each episode, the story had a tough time provoking a powerful emotional response that made the audience members remember why they were watching in the first place. But let's get back to the timeline. The streaming platform premiered on the 6th of April in the United States, Canada, the UK, Ireland, Australia, and Germany, and had an interesting first week, as people were curious. It saw 300,000 downloads on the first day and a total of 1.7 million downloads in the first week. But the following week, Quibi fell from the 11th position among top downloaded apps all the way down to 125th. If all these 1.3 million users were paying, that translated to roughly $6.5 million of revenue in the first month. For you or me, that sounds like an amazing achievement, but for the investors that were aware of the fixed cost of operating this kind of service, the number fell incredibly short of expectations. They were hoping to see around 7.5 million users in the first 6 months, or a total monthly revenue of nearly $40 million to break even. And the company never surpassed the 1.5 million user mark in its short history. As soon as the first week was over and the numbers didn't match expectations, they probably had a Zoom meeting because the launch of the app was in the middle of the first wave of the coronavirus pandemic and brainstormed some ideas. The pandemic will not be something minor in this story, as it disrupted the daily routines of people all over the world, particularly damaging the moments that Quibi was targeting with their service. It was thought that with the arrival of 5G internet, people were going to spend a lot more time on their phones, and so their idea would be a huge success in no time. But with mandatory quarantines, people had more than enough time to binge actual full-length series, making Quibi rather unnecessary. By mid-June, Quibi raised another $750 million in funding from the same people and firms that operated it. By this point, reached the $2 billion mark in total since it was created. And still in September, it appeared in the Wall Street Journal that the platform was thinking about becoming a public company to raise even more cash. They only had liquidity of $200 million, a tenth of the total amount they raised, and Quibi was suffering immense losses in fixed costs like the servers, the creation of over 7,000 episodes of content, and a gigantic crew of employees in the support line. By early October, Quibi was available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Google TV, which is impressive being that it had just launched a few months ago. But while inaugurating this feature, they were already figuring out how to wrap this thing up behind the curtains. On October 21st, Katzenberg and Whitman announced that Quibi was shutting down by saying, "There was no question that keeping us going was not going to have any different outcome. It was just going to spend a whole lot more money without any value to show for it. So, out of respect for those people that put up their extraordinary amount of capital to do it, that's irresponsible, and we both felt we shouldn't do it." One thing the company did really well was with the agreements that small producers and studios had to sign, which was really great. Quibi did not own any of the content it premiered, but just licensed it for a few years, so the owners could upload it to other more traditional platforms and continue to generate income. This is one of the reasons why over 7,000 episodes of different shows and programs could be created in less than 2 years. We will have to wait a bit more and let the dust settle so we can properly evaluate the legacy of Quibi and what it meant for the entertainment industry going forward. Possibly, as investors surely aren't, the ones that benefited most by the brief experience of Quibi were small producers who got a chance to shine in a new project that was attached to a big name and tried new things when writing, filming, and editing their stories. Half of the total money that Quibi raised was invested in commissioning original and new content for the service. And this is a cost that never really ends as you need more and more content to continually provide to your viewers. Also, Quibi didn't see the generational impact that platforms like TikTok would have, completely monopolizing the quick moments people had between tasks. But they clearly saw YouTube as having a similar potential, as they tried and failed to work out a deal to land YouTube sensation Mr. Beast to an exclusive Quibi contract. Sadly, there were already forms of content that existed for that quick bite they expressed in their now infamous Super Bowl commercial. Ultimately, the greatest lesson learned is that you can have a great idea to a problem, but fail in the execution. High quality, high cost content in 10-minute intervals probably doesn't make as much sense as the lovely, quirky, bespoke content coming from smaller indie creators on places like YouTube and TikTok. If ever a newcomer arises to pick up where Quibi left off, they would most likely build a democratized platform where indie creators could do the heavy lifting of creating fun, engaging content instead of spending millions of dollars trying to catch lightning in a bottle.